Greetings and welcome to this live broadcast from MelVee Broadcasting Network. We are very pleased that you've been able to join us today. It's already 2 weeks into this lockdown in South Africa, and we've just received an announcement from the president this few days ago that there will be 2 additional weeks of lockdown. What a time it is. By the way, I always believe we don't live in economies. We live in families, and I'm sure your family is blessed today and you're doing so well and the Lord has protected you. But should any of you be sick, it's time to pray and time to isolate and if possible seek for medical care. Let's get straight into our broadcast for today. Very special program from Pastor Ngwaru. He will be presenting on marital infidelity. I hope you've got your spouse with you, and I'm hoping you're not watching this with your honorable in-laws and children. This is a very special broadcast for couples particularly. And so we hope that you'll exercise whatever cultural or family dynamics you have to be watching this. But all the same, before we get to that message, we have special music that we have lined up for you. I'm just going to play a few songs, and please stand by as these songs speak to us. Firstly, we'll air Jasper C presenting I Will Shout in Heaven. The promise is sure, one day we will stand in heaven and shout for victory. Enjoy this song. Great song, lovely harmonies. We're very privileged to record this song when these friends of ours visited South Africa. So Jasper C, if you're watching, thank you so much and may God bless you. We look forward to hosting you sometime this year after the coronavirus epidemic and lockdown. The next song is a special song from a very good friend of ours, Sonwabo Kila. Some of you have watched him on MelVee. He's singing a special song called Ilizwe laseBeulah. If you've watched Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, you will know about the land of Beulah, where the pilgrims wait before they are ushered into the celestial city. And so he's singing about the beautiful land of Beulah. We are in Beulah land. We are waiting for the Lord to usher us into the celestial city. May the Lord bless you.
This is one of the songs that give me hope. Ngifikile zwene licha ubujebi balobo bam apha kukhanya okuhle umbusuku budlulile umsindisi ohamba nami siyanqoko ndawonye uyandiqala ngesandla undisamdele wezulu ilizwe lasekanana iyakuma entabeni ndithalaze ngaphesheya apho indlu yami khona ndiyabona ezulwini ekhayeni laphakade. Nandikona imitana emincinci intyatyambo ziyakhula ngawamanzi okuphila ziyafika kumiyapha ingoma zasezulwini ingelosi zihlabela ingoma zokusindiswa ilizwe lasekanana iyakuma entabeni ndithalaze ngaphesheya apho indlu yami khona ndiyakuma ezulwini ekhayeni laphakade. Ilizwe lasekanana Zulikaya la Zulikaya la Yagasele Ewe La Pagade Yewe Kayeni La Pagade Iliswela Sekanana Talaze Yapreshepa Zulikayala La Pagate Kala La Pagala Gazele La Pagate Yewe Yewe Kayeni La Pagate Ekayeni La Pagate Yewe La Pagate Ekayeni La Pagate Ekayeni La Pagate. God bless you.
Thank you, my friend Sono Bokela. That was a special production we did with him in Bulawayo. If anyone is watching from Bulawayo today, please just like, click, and subscribe. Let us know you are enjoying this song. It was recorded in Bulawayo. Now, the next song is a hymn of meditation. After this, we'll get straight into our message for today. It's a song sung by our friends again, Jasper C. from Zambia, singing Rock of Ages, Clap for Me. I pray as you listen to this message and as you watch this broadcast that Jesus will become your rock of ages, a rock that's cleft to protect you from these times that are so uncertain and so tumultuous. God bless you as you watch this song, and see you after the broadcast.
I'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for availing time to come and deliberate and participate in a subject that I feel is very sensitive, very sensitive. And actually, sometimes it requires a bit of emotional courage on the part of others to be part of this discussion, mainly because when we are talking about marital infidelity, marital unfaithfulness, it's very possible that others who could be watching this video in a video form or online, and those of you who are live here, there could be others who are basically going through challenges of that particular nature. And we do not know exactly how this presentation is going to affect you, but we can only pray that the Lord may give you the courage. And part of healing is to be able to tread through this valley of the shadow of death. And when you go out on the other end, who knows, you may go out healed. So I'd like to thank you very much for being here and for taking time to listen. I did not come alone. I work with some colleagues at the office, Southern Africa Indian Ocean Division, popularly known as SID. This is the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the Southern Africa. We basically have 23 countries under us. And the colleagues that I have brought from the office to help me tackle this rather very sensitive topic are Dr. Kakhelo Rakwena, and he is a family therapist. I'm sure at some stage you'll be able to see him on stage presenting in a panel discussion. And he is also married to a doctor. a doctor of psychology, married to a doctor of psychology. So his wife is Buitumelo Rakwena, Dr. Buitumelo Rakwena. Dr. Buitumelo Rakwena is clinical psychologist. I'll ask them at some stage to kind of define exactly what is family therapist and what is clinical psychologist. But I'm happy that they, through a short notice, despite a short notice, were able to make time to come and support us here and help us answer. There are certain things that the pastor can answer. There are certain things that the pastor can say. And we need to, as professional persons, appreciate our limitedness and our professional limitations. If you are a pastor, you don't know everything. There will always be certain limitations, and you want others who are trained in that domain to come up with things that will help our audience. So exactly that is what they will be covering. Okay, now let's get into our topic without wasting much time. Marital infidelity. The most important thing that we need to possibly, as we start off, is to ask a question. What exactly are we talking about? When we are talking about infidelity, what are we talking about? Marital infidelity, what are we talking about? Because we don't want to go into the content of our discussion and we do not have an understanding of where we are coming from and where we are trying to go. So we are going to answer the first question, which is, what are we talking about? I did a word search just to find out exactly the meaning of infidelity in general. Whether it's infidelity about this, infidelity about that, but just looking at that word infidelity, exactly what does it mean? After perusing a number of dictionaries, online and offline, I was touched by the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It gave its meanings like 1A, 1B, and then number 2 definition and whatever in that order. But when I looked at 1A and then I looked at number 2, I was convinced that what I was looking for was in what they called 1B. And under 1B, this is what they have to say, and I quote, unfaithfulness to a moral obligation or disloyalty. When we are talking about infidelity, according to this Merriam-Webster dictionary, we are talking of unfaithfulness to some moral obligation. There is some disloyalty involved in that. So basically, you do not just want to say you are not faithful or you are unfaithful. We have to have some kind of, maybe not in every case, but we need to have some kind of common understanding of what we call unfaithfulness. And actually, when I was going through literature and reading about this, the writers were saying, it doesn't matter how we define this word, but the most important thing is for husband and wife to agree what it means. Because the marriage is theirs, and they are the parties to the marriage. And if they are the parties to the marriage, they are the ones who have covenanted to be in this marriage. So if there is something called faithfulness, they need to agree in terms of what are they talking about. And if there is unfaithfulness, it's important for both of them to say, honey, when this happens, this is unfaithfulness. When this happens to me, this is unfaithfulness. Too many a time, people get caught up in infidelity. And then, now that there's a crisis, this is the first time another part says, to me, that's unfaithfulness. And then to another, no, to me, no, there's no problem with that. I don't see a challenge in that and so forth. But before we get into to me and to you, and there's a crisis and we are fighting over this, it's very important to agree exactly what that means. So if we are looking at unfaithfulness to some moral obligation, now let's restrict now this moral obligation to marriage and be able to say, what are some marital moral obligations? Because once we understand those moral obligations, it then becomes very easy for husband and wife to say, sweetheart, given that obligation, if this happens, what do you think? Oh, no, that would be unfaithful. That would be disloyal and stuff like that. I'll give you some moral obligations in any order. The first one I'd like to give you is oneness of a couple, and that there is no third party to a marriage. A marriage, given Matthew chapter 19, verse 5, the two shall become one flesh. The husband will leave, the wife will leave their parents, and they'll be joined together and they become one flesh. You are not becoming one flesh with your children. A marriage can find itself in a family, but the family is not part of the marriage, but the marriage is part of the family. I can never romp in my children in my marriage, but they are part of my family. When we become a family, they are part of it. When we become a marriage, it's just Elizabeth and myself. Are we together at that point? Yes. So the moment you see a third party coming in that setup, whether it's an uncle, whether it's a parent, whether it's a friend, I'm not talking about sex here. I'm simply saying the constitution, the structure of marriage, according to our biblical understanding, is that a marriage is made of two parties, husband and wife. Other people are related to the marriage, but they're not part of the marriage. The other aspect is sex and related pleasure within marriage. If you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, it basically says, every woman must have her own husband, and every man must have his own wife. Are you getting the point? And when it goes down, it begins to explain why. Actually, in the very same text, it says, because of immorality, because of these other factors and the parties who want to jump into people's lives to protect this institution or morality on planet Earth, please, if there is a kind of pleasure you want to enjoy, let it be enjoyed in this exclusive relationship, husband and wife. So sex and the related sexual pleasure in whatever form needs to be done in the domain of marriage. If you are a Bible believer, I don't know what Islam believes in. I'm not privy to Buddhists, what they believe in as far as sex is concerned. But when it comes to the Bible, sex is a prerogative enjoyed only in marriage and not outside of it. And therefore, all the ramifications and all the aspects that are related to sex need to happen between a person called husband and his wife, and just between these two. It's a moral issue. To the Bible, that's a moral obligation. When you find yourself doing it outside, there are some obligations that have been contravened in that process. The third one is marriage covenant or vows. I am trying to pull out a number of obligations because generally when we talk of infidelity, the temptation is to simply run to that which is sexual. Are you getting what I'm saying? Is to simply, infidelity or sex. out of marriage, or infidelity, or this with another woman, or this with another man. That is where we quickly run to. But the day you wed in church, you agree to some vows, you make a covenant that I'll love you, I'll cherish you, I'll honor you, I'll comfort you, I'll take care of you, till death do us part, and forsaking all other. Those vows demand some loyalty on your part as an individual. They demand that you be faithful. You are marrying in our presence, and you are repeating vows in our presence that you are vowing to love for better or for worse. You are vowing to honor for better, for worse, to cherish for better, for worse. So in other words, when the marriage is now running, and sometimes it runs fast, sometimes very slowly, sometimes bumpy, in the dirty road and what have you, it does not matter what happens. God in heaven will simply look at you and says, you committed yourself to loving and to cherishing and to honoring in spite of what happens in that institution. So, in other words, faithfulness to our vows is part of the aspect that must even be considered in infidelity. Infidelity can happen even if there is no third party. You are not getting what I'm saying. Even if there is no third party, it's just the two of you in that marriage. You need to be faithful to the covenant that you have made. Right? Then we have marital rights. If you go to 1 Corinthians 7, verse 3 to 5, you will be told that we need to satisfy each other's rights. That's what the Bible says. We need to satisfy each other's rights. In other words, it actually says a husband, you have no complete authority over your body, but your wife does. And similarly, a wife has no complete control over her body, her husband does. So, given that, you will notice that Paul says, do not deny each other, because if you deny each other, you are opening the door to the devil, and when the devil gets in the relationship, you will not know how to deal with him. When Christ is in the marriage, he deals with the business of faithfulness. When the devil gets in the relationship, he deals with the business of unfaithfulness. And it's not very easy. Christ, you can tell him, Christ, I don't want you in my heart. He'll go out very smoothly. But the devil, once he gets in to push him out, may require the whole earth to get him out. No wonder God, in his wisdom, when he's looking at sex as a right. But by the way, sex in marriage is not a privilege. It's not. I mean, if you wanted to be single, you should not have married. You should not have married. Sex is not a good favor you are doing to your husband, or a good favor that you are giving to your wife. Sex is an obligation. Although in courts, the environment under which it is done should respect other rights. Are you getting the point? But it is an obligation that you need to meet. A marriage that is not involved in sex, and if there is no sex in that particular marriage, before God, that marriage is as bad as an adulterous one. There is basically no difference, because if there is adultery, you are destroying one another. If there is sanctions and denying one another, there is still pain, emotional pain, and you are destroying one another. It's equally bad, but in the opposite direction. Another obligation, moral obligation, is that faithfulness in marriage comes as a divine commandment. I think it's commandment number 7. You shall not commit adultery. Exodus 20, verse 14. You shall not commit adultery, and all those things. And I also like Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 to 28. which then balances the equation. To many people, unfaithfulness is when I am caught physically with another woman who is not Mrs. Ngwaru. Or you are caught physically with another man who is not your husband. And this is when people now throw tantrums and you cannot do this to me, you can't do this to me, and whatever, because it is physical in nature. But Jesus Christ says, anyone who looks at a woman lustfully, he has committed adultery with that woman. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying. If you look at a woman lustfully, now here you are dealing with a man who has foreknowledge. A man who has foreknowledge, who knows that this is 1 AD. But 2,000 years from now, there will be movies, there will be porno, there will be websites, there will be social media and whatever, and the women will be paraded on websites, and there will be men not sleeping. Your wife is in the room, and you are busy looking at this thing. So according to heaven, what you watch is a moral issue. Don't tell me you are not sleeping with a woman, you are not sleeping with a man, and therefore you are innocent before God. What you read, what you see, what you watch matters a great deal before God. And for our sisters, sisters, if you are hearing me clearly, please have mercy on us men in the manner in which you dress, because the eyes of men are different from your eyes. Some of us, we think with our eyes. We get driven by our eyes. Imagine you are in church and the officiating person during Sabbath school, Sunday school, is having a miniskirt and all the legs are out, and people are not just singing songs and praying to God. They are also going through a lot of imagination. You may actually come to church and convert every man into an adulterer before God. So, faithfulness is both physical, emotional, and other things, and psychological. Don't say, did you see me kissing another woman? Did you see me doing this? Did you see, Pastor, ask her, did I ever do that? No, you may not have even done all those things. But in your heart, you can actually know that you have been paying a lot of devotion to other women or to other men. Right, we continue. Another obligation, which is moral, is the permanence of marriage. Marriage is not designed to end the day it is instituted. When you make the vows, you leave the... Others have actually divorced on the stage. Others, while the woman is in the vestry before she comes out, the whole thing is over. Others a day after. Others in 3 days, the whole thing is gone, and what have you. The Lord forbid, God forbid. For those of you who are Bible believers and you are Christians, marriage is not a temporal thing. You are not getting into this trying your luck. You are not getting into this hoping it will work. No, whether it's working or it does not work, for as long as you signed and God said you are husband and wife, stay in there. Of course, there are aspects and conditions that may allow a termination of marriage. But this is as far as God may allow. But don't tell me we are broke, our finances are not well, so we need to divorce. My mother-in-law talks too much, so I want to divorce. We don't have a child in this marriage, so we need to divorce. No, you have a moral obligation to remain in it in spite of, actually for better or for worse. When I understood that marriage is a permanent thing, the only other thing was that permanence became a motivation to make it work between me and my wife. Because otherwise it can be hell For as long as we are husband and wife, you are in something that you are not making work and it's not supposed to end. And God expects you to remain in there. I remember when we were in the rural areas, in the 60s, when I first went to grade school, and during those primitive times, you are coming from school and another kid pulls you, pushes you, and as a fight starts and you are beaten up by this small kid, and you go to your mother and father and say, they beat me, he beat me, mommy. Says, who beat you? How old is he? No, he's the same age as me. They take a belt, they whack on me. Go and fight. Go and fight. But it's like parents forget that. Our parents forget that golden rule. When I fight now with Elizabeth and I go back to my parents, Mommy, we have fought. With who? With Liz. I always knew she's a poor woman. Just stay here, my son. Let her go. There are many women in this world. But you forget that in grade school you told me, go and fight. And I went and I fought and I became a man. Now that I am married, you think I deserve more care from you than when I was in grade school. You are not getting what I'm saying. You are not getting what I'm saying. Marriage is destroyed by parents who are over-caring, who do not want us to fight. Marriage is a permanent thing. It's a moral obligation. Infidelity and unfaithfulness may have nothing to do with sex out of marriage. It may have to do with how do you respect the permanence of marriage. It's not nice to take some woman for a ride and dump her and say it's all over. Take another man and dump her and say it's not fair. We are in here. Do you know what? Some of us need to come to church and give a tithe, an offering, and a thanksgiving that the Lord, you gave me a normal, a spouse who is not challenged in some way. Do you know that there are marriages where sex is not possible because the wife is very sick, or there's a condition that doctor says it's a no-go area? And they are in their suits, they drive big, they stay big, and whatever, but in their bedroom, nothing is happening and they look at their challenge and say, okay, other people are blind, we don't have sex. Those blind people did not commit suicide. I'm not going to commit suicide because we don't have sex in this marriage. We will love ourselves in our own way. Life goes on. And when I've got a wife who has everything, a husband who has everything and whatever, and still you think you are cursed by having that spouse. If you were to tell some people your challenges that are causing you sleepless nights, some people spit at your face because theirs are worse. And yet they still have smiles in their challenges. Marriage is permanent. And then one other thing that I'd like to say is love and respect for each other are also moral issues. We marry to love and to respect. Whichever way you do, please leave me respected. Especially if I'm not there. Respect me when I am not there. Are you getting the point? How many times have you seen at work a woman is simply touched as if you are not a married woman? A man simply touches anyone and says anything as if you are not a married man. You do things that ordinarily you would not do if your wife was around. Love and respect each other is a moral issue, it's an obligation. Loving your spouse is not, it's a choice that you made and you don't keep making that choice. It's a done deal. I remember with my wife, we can fight over finances, we can fight over how to deal with that kid and whatever. And each time we are dealing with an issue that is affecting us in the family and so forth, we are not dealing with our love. The issue of love is a done deal. We are husband and wife and we love each other, but we may fight over that, and so forth. How many times do you hear, okay, if that's the case, me, I'm leaving. Every conflict I am leaving, I am going, or you can pack and you can go. Every conflict must have to redefine being in love. Lovers quarrel. Lovers sometimes can push each other. Lovers sometimes may not greet each other, but we are still lovers. Why is it important to talk about marital infidelity? Let me rush here. Why is it important? Marriage is a symbol of the relationship between God and the church. According to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22 to 33. When you look at a woman, heaven looks at a church. When you look at a husband, heaven looks at Christ. The same way Christ persevered, suffered, and being patient and forgiving his wife, the church, this thing that is happening at a high road, at a spiritual level, must be happening at a physical level where we have a husband and a wife. The very same forgiveness. Lord, forgive me for what I have done. Okay, and sacrificing for a person who has offended and whatever. And you dying on the cross, that's exactly what marriage is all about. Talking about faithfulness and infidelity is not a simple thing. It's not just, I caught them with another woman, I caught them with what, and so forth. The whole symbolism of the plan of salvation is involved in this thing that we call faithfulness and fidelity. And then, of course, unfaithfulness injures and destroys lives. I've seen it. I don't know if there's a family. Some of you are very lucky. You have not seen divorce in your families. Nothing is going on well for you. It's going on well for your kids. It's going on well for your sisters and brothers and what have you. I'm coming from a family of 14. I think we have managed to only have 3 marriages. Mine and the other 2 guys. The others, our parents' marriage failed. My siblings, everybody's marriage fails, and you can see how the kids get affected. You look at how I personally, when I grew up in a divorce situation, how I was messed up by this thing called divorce. It destroys lives and it destroys career, it destroys profession, it destroys dreams, man. And faithfulness destroys families, it destroys church, it destroys society. Think of this pastor who is being interrogated for abusing 15-year-olds back then, but the issue is not being dealt with now. How is the wife feeling about that? How are the children feeling? What about his own church? There was a time when it was very devastating, and I think it was Jimmy Swaggart. I don't want to talk about the man of God. He's a lovely man of God. But when he was caught up in a thing like this, his music around the world was defining music during the 80s. And what have you. But when this thing came up, it destroyed. The ministry was destroyed. It's trying to come up, but the whole thing was destroyed. So it's something else. Society can be destroyed. Can you imagine if every adult is unfaithful, what do you expect the young people that are growing to be? Unfaithfulness. The part that I also like very much is unfaithfulness can be prevented, forgiven, and cured. That's why we are talking about it. If there was no cure for it, if it's something that cannot be forgiven, if it's something that cannot be prevented, I would rather be talking about family finance than to talk about infidelity. Why talk about an impossibility? I don't want to be fatalistic. Some of the happiest marriages that we have on the street, in the street, are marriages that once failed, but they were able to bounce back. A marriage can bounce back. It can. Unfaithful men can be faithful. Unfaithful women can be faithful. think of Rahab. Rahab, and is it in the book of Numbers, whatever book it is, in Jericho? A professional prostitute of her time and whatever, but she became the grandmother of Jesus. She changed her life. Mary Magdalene changed her life. The woman by the well changed her life. The greatest hope that we have, as you listen to me, is you can be faithful. You can be faithful. You have not gone beyond the line. There are chances that you can still be helped. How does marital infidelity present itself? This will be my last segment. Let me look at it. How does marital infidelity present itself? I'll give you a few examples. We have physical infidelity, we have emotional infidelity, we have got the cyber infidelity. This is the online, isn't it? Your websites, all those things happening with the internet and what have you. Right? Let's look at the physical one first. This is where you have got sex outside of marriage. Now, this is not like implied sex. We are now talking of real coitus, penetration, taking place between you and another woman who is not yours, and another man who is not yours. And this happens. You are a married woman, and this happens outside of marriage. This is another example of it. And the other thing could be any physical encounter that leads or is related to sexual pleasure outside of marriage. You can actually commit adultery with yourself. You do masturbation and all those kind of things and what have you. Your wife is there for some reason or another best known to yourself. You then get involved in a sexual encounter with yourself. It's self-sex. Masturbation is self-sex. You are doing sex with yourself and what have you. That's another perversion that could be. There are a lot of things that come into here. Fondling and kissing. Don't tell me, but sweetheart, I did not penetrate her. We were just kissing and what have you and so forth. No. No. That is already equivalent to 100% adultery and so forth. And then, of course, unfair or unreasonable or unlawful deprivation of spouse to conjugal rights. When you decide not to give me sex and I am faithful to you alone and you are reserved for me alone, and both of us have a common understanding that sex takes place between the two of us, and then you decide to go 3 months, 2 years. I've met guys who have gone 5 years, and the guy is an elder in the church, and he does not know. He says, Pastor, me, I don't know who to tell. I don't even know why I'm telling you. But for the past 5 years, we have not been having sex with my wife. And one of our challenges as Adventists, this is why I brought the Rakwenas to be with me here, to accompany me here, is we have Adventists who are in these situations, and unfortunately they don't know who to go and tell. How do you start telling someone that we are not having sex for the past 1 year? It takes a lot of courage for that to happen. And what makes it very worse is we have wives who actually know my husband is faithful, but I'm still going to deny him. And I know my husband does not sleep around. He will not sleep around, but he will not also get it from the house. And there are also men who we have lost all inclination or interest in that. No matter how much they are touched, they are not stimulated. And the wife is just there, faithful. Women's ministries lead at your local church, at my local church, Kambuzuma Church, Mutare Church, Mufakos Church, Littleton Church, Social Group. I don't know where the women, all the women and whatever, can actually be serving God, and they serve with us pastors. Let's have Lord's Supper. And say, let's hug each other and what have you. And you are hugging this woman who is so hungry. There's nothing happening at home. So some deprivation, let me tell you, I'm not the owner of the Adventist church. I don't set policies by myself. But if I would influence policy, I think spouses who deprive their fellow spouses unfairly, unreasonably, and unlawfully may need to be disciplined by the church. If it gets known, actually we may not even need to wait for the general conference. If it is true that there is a marriage that has gone for a year and the wife says, don't touch me, what do you want that man to do? Tell me, what do you want that man to do? Can you imagine undressing in front of me to put him under the you become pornographic every day just to deny him. It's not right. Then, of course, emotional infidelity, and this is where we have emotional bonding that goes beyond mere friendship. We can be friends at work. Are you getting the point? We can be friends at work. You can be friends at your workplace. By the way, there's no rule that says a man shall not have female friends. And there's no rule that says a woman shall not have male friends. If you are there and you are able never to have an opposite sex friend, you are ideal. Praise God, you have got the power, and God has given you the nature to do that. But I'm saying to those whose nature is like me, who have friends who are human in both sections of the gender and what have you, you need to watch out going beyond friendship. When it becomes devotion and you draw pleasure from that interaction than you get from your wife, then you have a big challenge. Then we have lying about certain aspects of the relationship to real spouses. Sweetheart, this is 7. Hey, I thought you normally knock off at 5. No, today I was just doing overtime and what. But you were with this guy. You were with this guy. If you are not able to say to your wife, sweetheart, I'm here, I'll be an hour late, I'm coming, I'm chatting, there's this that I am doing and whatever, that you can raise a red flag that relationship is a bit sinister. Why are you hiding it? Why are you lying about it? This name in the phone, no, don't worry. But who is it? Some person, no. Do I ever open your phone? Why are you failing to answer this simple question? Who is this one? Why go to, do I ever open your phone and whatever? No, you're going off, but you fight over. Sweetheart, hey, I see this guy. They normally send you message time and again. Who is this one? If you cannot be truthful about that person, then it means that friendship has gone beyond what is normal. Then, of course, fantasies. Fantasies is where you are having sex with your wife, love making with your wife, but in actual sense you are doing it with the other person. Your whole imagination is captured with this other person. You are here, but you are not there. Then, of course, inclination to future sexual encounter. Emotional adultery does not need to be completed in sex, although it normally leads there after some distant future. So this is another challenge. You are not an adulterer because you have done what you call coitus or penetration. You are an adulterer because your devotion to this woman or to this man is beyond what you give to your own wife. And then porno. Hey, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I never thought that porno could be a challenge among Christians. But it is. I don't want to say a lot about this because I counsel people. I have people that I pray with. I don't want anyone to assume like, also, Pastor, we come to you, you go to church and you preach about us. But the only simple fact is I can tell you that pornography has become a very big and a huge challenge, even in the church. It's a big challenge. Then cyber infidelity, social media, intimate connections. Have you ever seen interacting with somebody's wife on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and you don't just want to, you continue and continue and continue? Why are you enjoying it that much? We are told that because of the internet, we now have more options of doing adultery than we had previously. The whole world is in front of us, and we can do adultery every minute if we want to, emotionally and otherwise. And of course, interaction through there are certain websites that actually encourage affairs. Just Google marital, extramarital affairs. You will be given websites of women who are parading, just waiting for somebody's husband. They actually know you are somebody's husband, but they're advertising to say you can come. It's not an easy world that we are living in. Then comes a very important part as we conclude. What should couples then do? We are now looking at the mental health aspect of this whole thing, the anger that is involved, the emotional damage that is involved. We are now looking at the impact. We are looking at how then do we get out of this whole thing? Is there a way out? If it is there, what is it? Is there a way of healing so that I don't even go back to it and whatever? So we'll take just a short break to have a reset here. And when we come back, the Rakwenas will be here to answer a few questions from the audience and from myself. God bless you.
Thank you so much, my friends. I hope this has been very useful. Should you need more information from Pastor Ngwaru, as well as this discussion with the Rakwenas who are experts in family counseling and clinical therapy, I invite you to join MelVee Broadcasting Network on our YouTube channel. Look for that button that says join, and you'll be able to access this discussion and guideline that I'm sure will help you, and you'll be glad you joined us. So please do join and have access to this material. God bless you. We hope to see you in our next broadcast. We want to know how to have hope in the time of crisis. Pastor Mackenzie Kambizi will be live with us. Don't move your dial. 7 p.m. We're bringing you Pastor Mackenzie Kambizi live from the U.S. God bless you and see you in the next broadcast.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to have this review. I learned a lot this afternoon, and learned that infidelity is something that really we should take seriously. It's not something that is a small issue. It can affect your mental health. It can affect your children. It can affect your community, the church, and everybody around you. So it's something that needs to be taken very seriously. And it is something that, if it does happen, it's something that it's a process for you to regain the trust, for you to recuperate and become, back to what you were before. So it's a process.
What would you say are the very practical lessons that you took from today's lesson? Is it very possible for this problem to be resolved?
Yes, it is possible to resolve this issue in that if as a couple we are transparent and we confess to each other whatever wrong that has happened in the relationship, we can then take strategic steps to recover. One of them being that we can talk to each other, but if we feel that the talking to each other is not helping, we can seek for professional help. Go to the church, talk to the pastor, or talk to a professional psychologist or family therapist.
That was Mrs. Ngono. Let us go to Mr. Ngono. What did you learn, and what are the ways in which we can resolve this problem that has killed the society?
Well, I learned a lot of what she has just said, but in addition to that, I also learned that infidelity is a culmination of a process, a breaking down process. So it probably culminates from a situation where the marriage has been breaking down for some time, and eventually you get infidelity. So to rectify that situation, we need to keep our marriages relevant. We need to keep working on our relationships constantly. Yes.
It has been a very beautiful afternoon, powerful lesson, and the soccer family is here with me. I would really love to hear what you learned. What did you get from today's afternoon's lesson?
I've learned a lot this afternoon, and the sad thing is that these things are happening. Infidelity is happening, even in our church. And what I've learned is that it hurts a lot. And if we are not able to do something about it, if we are not able to be sensitized about the message that we've heard, then I don't know what we are doing. But I wish the whole church can be sensitized. And if we must accept that these things are happening and we must do something about them. We shouldn't just hear and then leave it there.
Beautiful. So what did we get today? We've been sensitized, which is a very beautiful thing. What are the lessons that you picked, if you will share with someone who has been part of let me ask you a very frank question. Have you ever seen a family that has been broken by infidelity?
Yes.
And what is it that you have picked from today's afternoon's lesson to help them out?
Well, for the family that I've seen, or the number of families that I've seen, usually they don't want to accept. The man, it may be the man, mostly it's the men. They don't want to accept that they've done something wrong. And that it just causes more hurt to the woman. Because the woman is experiencing these things, and if she tries to speak, the man is always angry. Those things, like we've learned that it is very, very hurtful to the point that you feel like maybe you've lost somebody. And it's very true. You're losing this love of your life. You know, it's like, I'm really lost. This is the man that I thought I'll go all the way with, and today he is not there. He is not seeing me as the one that should be with them.
Mr. Soko, who has been there?
And it hurts. So the problem is acceptance.
All right.
Acceptance. We have to learn to accept. And for me to help somebody, I wish I can see that they are accepting first, that there is something wrong here. Even if the wrong is in the wife, or if it's the wife doing it, if the wrong is in the man, she must be able to express it, but express it with a lot of love. Because if you're expressing something that is wrong in somebody and you're doing it just to expose them or to hurt them or to make them feel that yes, you're doing something wrong, it doesn't help. You must be able to apply some sense in yourself, some love in yourself. This is a love affair. You must be able to accept, to say, let me talk to this person in a way that I want to cultivate the love that we had back in our lives. So it can happen. Trust has been broken. It is a process to get it back, but still do it in love. Don't do it all the time to just like in a revenge way. It doesn't help. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Soko. Let me go to Mr. Soko and let me pose this question like this.
Yeah.
He mentioned that after you have been in a relationship that has been broken by distrust, this is now a new phase of a relationship. And how are we meant to cultivate the lost trust? How should we come back from where we have fallen so low? And what do we do to bring back the partner who has been wronged to come back to their senses and us falling in love back again?
Yeah, in fact, that was a very beautiful point that our ministers and our counselors touched on this afternoon. I think what we need to understand is that the one that has wronged the other must begin to take responsibility. The one angle that they touched, which I thought was quite important, was the fact that there will be anger involved once that issue becomes known. And we need to allow that anger to express itself. And it's immaterial for you to try and stop that anger from expressing itself, thinking that, you know what, I've been forgiven and then we can move on. I think that would be irresponsible. So when you're starting again, you need to effectively start from the first building block. Take responsibility, be humble about the whole thing, and assist the other one, the one that you have wronged, to become again. Otherwise, you, instead of healing, you actually cause more harm. So there is need for responsibility being taken by the one who has caused the problem.
Thank you.
Bina, bina, kana kozohle. Bina, bina, kana kozohle. Unalipi na yeu rata kuyo bella. Hallelujah, hawitabile. Unalipi na yeu rata kuyo bella. Hamoya wa haunyamile. Kiabina miki murori se moloki murena hakina tabontleliena moloki murena kiabina miki murori se moloki murena hakina tabontleliena moloki murena hakili matate Jesu wangutwa hakili manyame